Okay, today we're going to make 2 loaves of focaccia bread using Ken Focaccia's recipe out of flour, water, salt, and yeast. It's his white bread with poolish. Okay, so what we have here is 4/10 of a gram of instant yeast, 500 grams of flour, and 500 grams of 80-degree water. I will mix the yeast and the flour together and then dump the water in and mix it all up. Okay, so the yeast is in. I'll mix that around and then take the water, pour that in, and just mix it until it's well incorporated. So this is what it looks like once it's all incorporated, and it's about that much, and it'll sit here on the counter overnight and pretty much triple in size and be very bubbly when I mix it up in the morning with the rest of the flour and water and yeast and salt. So this is what the poolish looks like the next morning. It's doubled and it's very bubbly. What we have here now is 3 grams of yeast, 21 grams of salt, 500 grams of flour, and 250 grams of 105-degree water. And I will mix the flour, salt, and yeast in a large tub and then proceed from there. Okay, so we've got the flour, salt, and yeast in here. I'll mix this up so it's well incorporated. Okay, so we're adding the water to the poolish, and this will get added to the flour, salt, and yeast over here. Okay, so then you mix it all together until it's all incorporated, and then this will sit for another 2 to 3 hours. You have to fold the dough 3 or 4 times within the first hour, hour and a half. Okay, so this is what it looks like after it's all mixed and incorporated, and I will set the timer for 2 hours, but during the first hour, hour and a half, it needs to be folded at least 3 times. Okay, so this is the third and final fold that I'll do. It's okay to wet your hand a little bit to keep the dough from sticking to it. And all I do is grab it from underneath, stretch and fold, stretch and fold. And what all this is doing, you probably know, is just helping establish the gluten structure in the bread and introducing some air into it to make it nice and airy and fluffy. And then after this, we'll just let it sit on the counter for about another hour, and then we'll divide it. So as you can see, that has pretty much doubled in size. And now we're going to turn it out onto a floured surface. Okay, so we're going to flour the middle of this because we're going to divide it in 2 and cut it. Okay, so with floured hands, what we're going to do is we're going to form this into a ball and fold it over a couple of times. Just rotate it, fold, fold, and then you should have a tight surface, just like that. And then once you get it formed into a ball, it goes right over here into a proofing basket. Okay, so this is the second dough ball. We've got it formed into a nice tight ball. Put it in here, we'll cover it, and they'll stay in the proofing baskets for another hour. Okay, so this dough ball has been proofing for about an hour. Normally, if I was just going to do a loaf of bread, I would flop this out on a floured surface and then transfer it to a preheated Dutch oven. But since we're doing focaccia, I'm going to just roll this out into here. This pan has already been oiled. I've dusted it with rock salt and rosemary, and we're going to get this out here now. Take some oil, put it on my hands, and we're going to spread this out. Then once we get this formed into the pan, we'll sprinkle it with more coarse salt and punch holes in it with the rosemary and throw it in the oven. Okay, so I'm going to put some coarse salt on here before I punch it down, because I want to press this into the dough so it stays without falling off when you're cutting it. So we'll push that down, embed it into the dough, and now we're going to take these pieces of rosemary and punch them in. Okay, so we've got all the rosemary punched in, and you can never have too much olive oil on this, so we'll just put a liberal amount on there. Then what we're going to do is put a lid on, and for about the first 15 or 20 minutes we're going to bake it with the lid on, then we'll take the lid off and let it brown up. Okay, so the focaccia has been in the oven for about 20 minutes, and we're going to take the lid off and let it cook the rest of the way. Okay, I just wait until it gets a little brown, test it, wait till it gets brown, take it out, and then we can get it out of the pan. Okay, so now that we've got it out of the oven, we need to get it out of the pan and onto a rack. We'll let it rest here for 20 minutes and let it cool, which is a near impossibility for my wife, because as you know, nothing says lovin' like something from the oven.